Take a deep breath and do the opening.
No, I can't. I can't do it. I need to get the laughs out. I'm sorry. Maybe you should do the opening this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time again for Acts of Geekery. We are on episode number 8. Ooh. I'm Scott.
And I'm Cory.
And we're mixing it up today.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
But only for the first part.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah.
It's just because Cory had a fit of giggles. He could not do the intro.
You didn't have to tell everybody.
Yes, we do. Because you have to always say at the end, that was a great podcast.
Yeah.
I think that went really well. And I'm like, Cory, the mic is not off.
Oh, right.
And I'm making the like cut your neck motion, like stop it, quit it.
Why would I run my finger along his throat?
Yes. Nothing would get past me.
Yeah.
Nothing would go over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
I'd catch it. So we're gonna start out actually on a somber note today. I know we just made you laugh. Yes.
Tragedy.
Very tragic.
That works because this tragedy is from someone that used to make us all laugh.
Yeah. Exactly. Tuesday, was it?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
We found out that the great Robin Williams died in his home, I'm guessing.
He did, yes.
We won't talk about the circumstances around it. That's up to him and his family, you know, whatever he was going through. But we're going to talk about the man that he was and all the greatness that he provided us.
Us personally. There's a lot more that I'm sure we'll skip over.
He's been around for doing stuff for a long time, from Mork and Mindy and all the way through up until his latest TV show that ended after a season.
Yeah,
he was recording something too.
He was in so much stuff.
Yeah,
shocking actually. After going through his his IMDb page and looking and seeing what he's been through. Yeah. So yeah. I had no idea. Some of the stuff I was like, oh, yeah.
And not only for us as our generation, but as the older generations, they're the same way. I've talked to people. I work with a lot of people of the older generation, and they all think it's a tragedy, too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he brought laughs and smiles to many, many people over the years. And, he will be missed as far as movies go, and he was a good father and a good husband from what I've been reading the past couple days. So
there's been a lot of good posts, kind words from other celebrities, and
a lot of sympathy for their family.
One of the ones that I guess is probably the most comedic one, which it's Robin Williams. He probably would want people to kind of laugh and make light of the situation to feel better. One of the ones I heard was Robin Williams isn't dead. He's just waiting for somebody to roll a 5 or an 8 to get out of the Jumanji board. That's actually pretty good. He was actually one of the first actors that I ever recognized as a child growing up, and one of the first voice actors that I ever recognized when they were talking about Aladdin.
Yeah.
And back then they would show the preview and they would show like the voice actors kind of behind it a little bit, and he would come on screen and I would know who he was. Like he was, I dare say he was the first actor that I ever recognized.
And really remembered.
Mm-hmm. And really said he's been in other stuff.
That's kind of the same way for me, actually. But it was all for Mrs. Doubtfire for me.
Yeah.
That's where I remember him the first.
So, Scott, what's your favorite Robin Williams movie?
Oh, man, that's hard to pick. I love Mrs. Doubtfire. It's hilarious. Yep. Aladdin, he's great as Genie in all the iterations of him.
Exactly. Even the second and third one, which were like straight to VHS, he was still good in those.
Yeah, we had those, and he was good in all those. He's that's hard.
He was Teddy Roosevelt, if you remember that, in Night of the Museum.
Yes, you're right.
That one is incredible to think about. And they were working on the third one. I think they're in post-production for it. Yep, right there. Post-production for that one. So he's going to be
in, it looks like 3 movies.
Yeah.
They're in post-production. So even though he's dead, they'll be releasing him posthumously.
He's in Happy Feet.
Yeah,
he was some fun
Oh yeah,
People
never
aren't happy.
seen it.
It's a good movie actually. It's surprisingly good. I would say my favorite is Robots. Probably one of the greatest animated movies of its generation, and he just makes the movie completely. There's no other reason for that movie to be good except for him. So Patch Adams. You've got
that one was
Flubber.
funny.
Remember Flubber?
Yep, Flubber was. You know what? Actually, I think that's going to be my favorite movie from
Yeah.
him. I loved Flubber. I thought it was great.
And you got what was another one?
Jack.
That, Jack.
When he's the little kid inside with an adult body because he's
Hook.
got a disease. He was Hook. Yeah.
I hear
Peter
Hook
Pan.
is on Netflix Instant. I don't know if they just put it up there or if
That would be awesome if they did.
Yeah.
They were like,
So-
you know what? Here's all of his movies. We
Yep.
bought them all. We bought rights to them all or whatever.
So-
Netflix can do it.
and I'm sure there's charities out there that he would want you to donate if you're like worried about his family or something like that. I'm sure there's things that you can do. So go look him up, help his family out in this trying time. This just like when I saw the tribute things online, I was kind of getting choked up a little bit because
Same here.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, he made a pretty big impact on you, either as a kid or even as an adult watching his later stuff.
and this is kind of probably how it's going to feel when some of the actors of our generation are going to get old, and like when we're older,
There's a
gonna be
lot
like,
of them
"Holy
getting
crap."
old and dying that I'm
Yeah.
like, holy crap! I
hate. We're not going to start a death pool or anything. That's
no,
kind of bad.
no. He was
So-
also in Ferngully.
Oh yes, he was the bat.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was the bat in Ferngully, and of course, Dead Poet Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain. You probably
No.
no. That's it's fine.
But he was also in Good Will Hunting
Yes.
with Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm. He's
Of
just
course, you already mentioned Jumanji,
Yes.
which that's a really fun movie.
yeah, I do enjoy that. It actually, I think that was one of the movies when I was growing up that scared me for some reason. That Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast are all movies that scared me in my childhood. Don't ask me why.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of movies, a lot of good things.
So we're gonna miss you, Robin. So
Not Batman's Robin,
no,
Robin Williams.
no, Robin Williams. We're gonna miss you. Well, we're gonna miss Robin too.
Not Damian Wayne.
Whichever one you want to miss on that.
There's only one sort of dead one right now.
But if he would say anything, it would be the show must go on, and we got to keep people laughing. So
Yep.
hopefully you're done crying into the Kleenex. If not,
And now our show's going to go on.
Yes.
And hopefully you're laughing.
yeah.
Well, after this.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get into the news. Scott, do you like Aquaman?
I love Aquaman.
I figured you did.
Oh, he's one of my favorites, actually.
Did you know that there's a sports talk radio that doesn't like Aquaman?
Really?
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure that some sports talk radio somewhere would not like Aquaman.
They pretty much said they were making jokes about him and everything like that.
Like ragging on him.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Oh, all he can do is swim in the water and talk to fish.
And he's useless if he's out of the water. And it's getting old.
The whole he has to be in water all the time or near water has been gone out of the comics and out of the continuity for like 20 years now.
Sometimes you just can't get away from things, though.
I apparently not.
Yeah. But luckily, Aquaman has a champion in the form of one Zack Snyder. So, yes, this is kind of Donna Justice news.
Yay! We have to get something in there at least until it's out.
He called this radio station as they were making fun of him, and he started defending Aquaman, telling him how strong he was, and
all the other cool things he can do.
yeah, minor telepathy, can control weak-willed humans even.
Yeah, he says he lives at the bottom of the ocean. He can withstand. He's bulletproof. Can basically withstand like not a nuke or anything, but
Yeah.
like he can withstand a missile exploding next to him, and
Yeah,
his trident can cut the skin of Superman.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it has magical
Oh,
properties.
yep, that would make sense.
But he has defeated Wonder Woman, Superman, and a couple other like heavy hitters from the DC universe in the comics. When he goes all war Aquaman and he
Yeah.
brings Atlantis to war with the surface.
It's not good for the surface.
It is definitely not, and they're highly advanced. They're
Yeah.
highly advanced beings compared to.
It always
surface
seems
world.
like the under the water is always more highly advanced than we are.
Because they're hid away. They can do whatever they want.
That's
they can,
true.
You know, don't have to deal. They don't
Worry
have to deal with
about
the rest of the world.
war and he's got my favorite line in the New 52 Justice League, like the first volume, where he comes out of the ocean and he's holding a parademon, and he like a dead parademon, and he says, "Who's in charge? Looks like it's me." And then like drops the parademon on the ground. And that's the end of the comic, and I was like, ah.
Yeah, he's great. People hate him and they think he's goofy because in the back in the 1970s and they made him so terrible in the comics. And that's DC's fault. And so they've been trying to get him. My favorite part in the Aquaman comic is when the very first page of the first comic of the New 52, he walks into the equivalent of a Red Lobster and sits down to eat. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, is that Aquaman?
Why is he here?
Why is he here? He loves fish. I thought he was the champion of the ocean." And he turns to him and goes, "People, I live in the ocean. What do you think I eat?" And then he eats some
humans.
He eats humans that have fallen into the ocean. The Bermuda Triangle, where everyone gets lost.
It's just Aquaman's mouth.
That's where Aquaman hangs out, and he's like, "Let's see if I can capture a boat today."
Oh, they're starting to use airplanes now. How cute. Trident.
Ooh, delicious humans.
Like canned sardines in a boat, right?
Yep, pretty much. Peel it open and eat them.
Yeah, and then he goes outside and he there's a little girl, the usual classic child's in danger as a car is coming towards her, and he basically
not just a car, a cement truck full of cement.
Wow. And he hits it with his trident and flips the semi over his and the girl's head.
He stabs it into the front of the truck and then flips it over him and the girl's head and slams it into the ground to protect her.
Yes.
And it was nothing. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what?
Strong.
And you know who can make Aquaman a good character? Zack Snyder and Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
So I've seen some fan art that people did where Jason Momoa is dressed up like Aquaman. He looks pretty good.
I would actually like to see that. That's way cool.
Yeah.
Because I love the Wonder Woman costume. I love the Man of Steel costume. Don't stare at me like that. Costume.
I think
the actress.
Just be glad we're getting one at all, okay?
The new Batman costume is good, except for the helmet.
You don't like the helmet?
The ears are too short.
It's kind of the older Batman.
Doesn't matter. It's too short.
If it's based off The Dark Knight Returns, it's... You know what?
I don't like the
short... You DC fanboys.
I don't like the short ears.
I don't like the fact that Superman doesn't have underwear on the outside anymore.
Actually, I like that fact.
Yeah,
that he
I do
have
too.
Underwear on the outside anymore.
And you see, that's another thing that Superman
makes
can't get away from. Like, DC does this with their characters. They make them so stupid to start out with, and then they have to try and pull back and make them cool.
The only reason Marvel's characters, I mean, they have some pretty dumb stuff that they've done with them. But the only reason they're not as stupid... Yeah. The only reason they're not as stupid is because they are always a little behind DC when it comes to making characters.
Yeah.
Now they've all kind of got their set and they can go do their own things, which is great. But when they were first both starting up, they were behind DC. So they saw Superman or, whatever, Batman. And they're like, oh, we need to make someone like that. But we're going to make him cooler and not goofy.
But let's see. So let's see. Who's a good strongman? Thor. That's a good one.
Yeah. Thor's kind of like their Superman.
Hey, Marvel, you kind of weren't that original there making up Thor.
Yeah.
Isn't there a Thor in DC Comics too?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know there's a Hercules in both.
There's a Hercules in both. There's like the pantheon of gods, the Greek gods. I don't know. That would be kind of cool, actually.
If there was
I'm sure there's some kind of like legal crap that DC won't be able to do Thor. I'd love it, though.
That would be great.
I'd love to see DC do Thor.
All right, let's move on to a new movie that I heard about. You like Anchorman, right, Scott?
Both 1 and 2. I love them both. And I have
Together we will defeat voodoo.
Yes.
Well,
if you haven't seen them, they're fantastic.
They are really good.
They're hilarious.
Yeah. The second one picks up like towards the end a lot and kind of just goes super nuts.
His pet shark.
Yes. And the ghost of Stonewall Jackson or whatever. But Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, the team behind Anchorman,
Okay.
are teaming up to make an animated movie, CG animated movie called Henchmen. It's based off of a short animated film, and it's about this janitor who works in a basically a supervillain museum in a city like rife with superheroes and villains, and like a rogue spacesuit with all these cool powers accidentally attaches it to him.
Accidentally.
Yes.
He falls backwards into it.
Oh
and
no.
Iron Man's in.
Yeah.
And he becomes the machine from that Geek and Sundry webisodes.
The April
Capers.
ones.
Capers.
I don't think I've seen those.
Oh, they're good.
Oh,
You
okay.
should check them
Yeah.
out.
But it looks interesting. I don't think we have a trailer for it yet or anything
Yeah,
like
I
that.
didn't see one today.
Okay, so we're
Or this
gonna
week, I
keep
should
you
say.
updated because that's just another one of these superhero movies that keep coming out. Superhero movies are kind of the thing these days. You know, you don't see much. We're getting
Yeah.
Big Hero 6 and everything coming out
It
too.
would be great if Will Ferrell made a cameo as
Megamind.
Megamind from Megamind.
Yes.
Metrocity.
If you haven't seen Megamind, like it's an underrated DreamWorks movie that you should probably go see.
It's very underrated. I was like, oh, I don't really want to see that. And then you talked me into it because you and Casey, your wife, had seen it.
Yep.
And I was like, holy crap, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's quite the takeaway, and that's kind of the trend.
Who does the fish? The guy in the fish bowl with the robot suit.
David Cross.
Yes. Oh, he was great.
And Brad
in that.
Pitt is the Captain Amazing or whatever.
Yeah. Metro Man.
Metro Man. Oh my gosh, Captain Amazing.
That's amazing. Where's that from?
I don't know. I just went with the generic
Where are you pulling that out of?
Superman hero term. You know, like they all have something like that. Like
Captain Amazing.
yeah, Lord Expert.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
Today is going to be kind of a day of announced movies because there's a lot of them that got announced. For example, Godzilla 2 got a release date in 2018.
Okay.
What do you think of the first Godzilla movie, Scott?
Let them fight.
That's the tagline for Godzilla 2, by the way.
Really?
Yes, and it's going to feature Rodan as one of the
Is it
monsters.
Are they just gonna cut the humans out of it altogether?
I really
Other
hope
than
so.
the only thing that humans should be doing in it is running away and getting crushed underfoot.
Yep.
I mean, really, if you're gonna make a real Godzilla movie, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Just buildings being destroyed, people going ah! and running away, and then getting squished.
Yes.
You know, and things getting dropped on
You're
them.
absolutely right. But the reason why it's slated for so late.
Or, I got another idea.
Okay.
If humans are going to be in it, they better be in giant robots fighting them. Oh, wait, we already have one.
I would love to see
A Pacific Rim Godzilla crossover.
Yes. Which, by the way, apparently at San Diego Comic-Con, they had an Oculus Rift set up where you could get into it and act like you were piloting Gypsy Danger.
Nice.
And I was like, oh,
and actually control it?
Yeah, like, you know, full on body movements and everything. And
Sweet.
I was like, oh,
Did they-
Oculus Rift.
Do they put you in the drift like holders where you're walking but you're not actually walking? That would be so
so cool. I wish. I know one of our friends who I hope listens to this podcast is developing like a full virtual reality setup.
Yeah, you told me about him.
Yeah,
he's spending all kinds of money and time on.
and he's getting these like track pads where you walk and it'll like it's like one of those running machines.
A treadmill.
Treadmill. It's like a treadmill.
They have
One of them newfangled running machines.
They're called legs, Corey. They're not newfangled. They've been around for a long time.
You're right. So, the reason why Godzilla
Give me your
2...
anatomy card.
Oh, let's not start developing other card types.
Okay.
Because I really would like not have any sports cards ever. It's like, give me your sports car.
I'd be like, I don't
Take them.
I would take them all. So
It's
I don't
fine.
want sports.
But the director who directed Godzilla is going to be directing the second one. But first, he's got to do a little standalone project for the Star Wars franchise. Which
Say what?
Which I don't... Have you heard about the standalones?
No.
They're in between the major movies, 7, 8, and 9. They're going to be doing standalone movies about an individual character. I think the things that they were talking about in the beginning were like a Yoda prequel, a Boba Fett movie, young Han Solo adventures.
I'm sort of into this and I'll be way more into this if they decide to do new, totally different characters.
I would agree.
Like but make them kind of archetypes. So another smuggler like Han Solo. Maybe
another
maybe
bounty hunter.
They've met up in a bar or something and hung out for a little bit. Then he goes off and does his own thing. You know, San Holo.
And his partner Woochaba. Or Woochaba. That sounds like a Star Wars character. It really does.
Woochaba.
I just hope they don't do a Jedi movie. I think I'm pretty much done with Jedi.
Yeah, why don't they yeah, I'm tired of Jedi too. I get why people like it, but let's focus on other characters in the Star Wars franchise. Han Solo and Chewbacca have always been my favorite characters. Yeah. Of course, R2-D2. I mean, he's just classic.
Everybody loves R2. I mean,
he's the best garbage can of all.
Yep, and he swears like a sailor.
Yeah, all those bleeps are him cursing.
So, have you been able to get Guardians of the Galaxy out of your mind, Scott?
No.
Neither have I.
All week long.
Yeah, it's been constant, and all of the memes these days are Guardians of the Galaxy memes. Well, we have a little bit more about Guardians of the Galaxy to tell you. At the end of the movie, they talk about Star-Lord's father, which spoilers, huge spoilers incoming, people. Spoilers.
Spoils.
His father is an alien.
Yes.
Not a human.
Yep.
You probably figured that out before I said the spoilers.
Yeah. Well, in the movie, his mom says, your father was like an angel and you look just like him or whatever. So
yeah. Well, in the comics, his father is J-Son, J-S-O-N.
No, J apostrophe son. So it's J-Son probably.
Yeah. Of Spartax, which he's the king.
As an empire.
Yeah. He's the king of this empire called the Spartax Empire. And, you know, throughout the movie, Scott and I are kind of like smiling like, we know who Star-Lord's father is. Nah, 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 nah. And my wife was like, who is it? And I told her, and she was like, oh, okay. Well, it turns out I'm wrong.
We're both wrong.
The
comics are wrong.
Yep. Not Zack Snyder. Oh, no. James Gunn's going to kill me. James Gunn came out and said that he has an idea of who Star-Lord's father is, but it's not who you think it is, and it's not who it is in the comics.
He actually says in the article that I read, it is not J-Son of Spartax at all.
But we will find out in the next movie.
Yes.
And he also said that Thanos is not the big bad in that movie.
What?
I know.
Will he be in the background controlling whoever like a puppet?
He's just in like every scene like, waving
on his chair.
He's like the guy in Hot Rod who he just throws the papers up in the air and starts dancing.
But in this case, he throws planets into the air. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, talking to a coworker, I heard a fairly interesting take on the movie.
Okay.
He said he enjoyed like the visuals and the action, the comedy and stuff, but he wished there was more character development in it.
What?
Like he didn't think there was enough. He was telling me that he liked what's his name? The Accuser, Ronan.
Yeah.
He liked Ronan the Accuser as the favorite character, and he wished there was more of him.
He was like the most two-dimensional character ever. They didn't show any other Kree but him. I mean, they didn't talk about where he comes from, except for like in his opening little speech of "I'm a radical."
Yeah, which
you know,
and he puts that weird tar stuff all over his face.
Yeah, it kind of looks like alien poop. He puts alien poop on his face.
It probably was.
Yeah.
Some kind of alien poop.
Yeah.
Although he did say...
I thought that everything that they talked about... I mean, you got good character development from Rocket. You got good character development. Well, I mean, Groot, you can't get much character development other than he's this awesome tree.
Yeah, but Groot does have a pretty cool backstory. Rocket has quite a bit of backstory that he only very briefly expunged on. Drax, you know why he's in jail, but you don't know nothing else really other than he tried to avenge his family and he's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the most backstory from Peter Quill, with all of his...
Yeah, which, he was raised by the Ravagers. He had to be kind of the focus of the movie because he's the human.
And that's fine.
But you know what I like that they didn't do? I like that they didn't make him like, oh, I'm a human out of outer space, and I don't know anything about any other alien cultures. He was like, no, I was with this chick, this chick, this chick, and this chick. And let me tell you, they're all different.
Yeah. One of them was something mass blob of tentacles.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was trying to get into the Nova Corps record rooms. Okay.
Yeah, and they didn't really do much Gamora backstory at all either. I mean, if you think about it, that was our complaint from before. Was if you haven't listened to our last episode, that was our complaint from before. She was the least developed out of all of them.
Well, I think Nebula was a little bit less developed than she was, but
yeah, but I can be
heroes.
okay. I can be okay with that as a bad guy.
Yeah,
I don't really have to know the bad guy's story too much.
Yep.
One thing that he did say that I totally agree with him when Ronan and Thanos are talking.
Yeah.
Ronan.
That's kind of a spoiler, but
we're still in spoiler territory. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. Spoilers. Okay, but now we can go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Ronan and Thanos are talking.
They're talking, and Ronan kind of is like, "Well, crap. Now I've got this massive weapon. What the hell do I need you for?"
Yeah.
Screw you, Thanos, and he logs off the chat or leaves or whatever.
Gives him
instead of he gives him the space finger, basically.
The big space finger.
The big space finger. That should be our title. And rather than Thanos being like, impudent, whatever, and like being all pissed off, he just kind of like whatever, and then it goes away, and he tells Nebula to go find him.
Yeah.
Now, I wish he would have got pissed and like blew up a planet or something, just to show that he is this big bad horrible monster in the galaxy that everyone is scared of, and he wants to destroy everything, and he has the power to do that kind of stuff.
I kind of agree with that. I kind of think it would be cool for him to like point at a planet in the distance and just like tear it to pieces with his mind. But at the same time, that doesn't sound to me like an evil overlord. That sounds to me like a child who's upset that he lost his toy. But for Thanos, he goes, oh, he's going to take this weapon and probably destroy a planet and kill himself in the process. Whatever, let him do it. Death is death.
Yeah,
it's my lady.
That's fine, but Thanos is also the Mad Titan. They call him the Mad Titan for a reason. He is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think he's the kind of crazy that is. Oh, you said something wrong. I'm gonna. Blah, 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 blah. He's more neutral evil rather than chaotic evil.
Maybe rather than him just being angry, then he can just be like, I'll show you my power, and the next thing you know, Ronan's base of operations on the planet that he was currently using for a base gets destroyed, and he finds out that Thanos did it, and Nebula comes in with a warning and says, you better respect Thanos or else.
Yeah. Here's the other thing though that I heard is James Gunn said, I wasn't supposed to do a Thanos scene without consulting with Joss Whedon.
Did he?
And he's like, and I just said, screw it. So I'm sure they knew, and they probably just let him get away with it. And Josh was probably in the background going, like, he's got his finger on the kill switch, and he's like, he's doing okay. He's doing all right. He's doing okay.
Joss Whedon's in the back of every movie theater, and he's like,
nope, I don't like it.
Okay, that seems all right.
Yeah, all right, let's move on. And I also heard that he wasn't supposed to do the scene at the end, but he decided to just do it. Like the after credit scene, like they didn't, like they didn't say, is that duck back in the background? What's going on? They didn't give him the go ahead, but he was like, I wanted to do it, so we did it.
Interesting.
So I think James Gunn kind of was like, and I think that shows huge brass cojones on Marvel's part, because they're not like
brass moons. We're in space after all.
Yes.
James Gunn.
Yes. Because Marvel doesn't go in there like Warner Brothers does with their executives and put their fingers in it and say, you can't do this, you can't do this.
Yeah.
They let the mixture, they let it turn into the amazing Guardians of the Galaxy shaped cookies.
Okay.
Which we need to make some Rocket Raccoon cookies now.
Yes.
Like some gingerbread cookies, and then we need to make one with legs, and then break off one of the legs and give it to Rocket.
Or get a chocolate mold and make chocolates.
Yes.
With them.
Moving on.
Sorry, that was my tangent.
It's like,
for the.
I'm sorry, you have to talk about good movies like Guardians.
Yeah.
That's what makes them good movies. Another Marvel movie that could be amazing. Vin Diesel teased it first, by the way, saying that there's another project he's working on for Marvel, and he said it could be the Inhumans. So they're thinking maybe Vin Diesel might be Black Bolt.
Vin Diesel. That's the first thing that came to my mind first. But he could also be the Bulldog.
Lockjaw.
He could be Lockjaw.
No.
And be the voice acting for Lockjaw, because he does voice acting better than regular acting.
He doesn't voice act at all, though.
Lockjaw doesn't talk.
Like Lockjaw doesn't talk.
That we know of. Maybe he's Medusa.
Yeah. Just her hair.
He's just the hair he talks. He's making the sound effects.
Yes. Well, okay, so you want to talk about how Vin Diesel's not a very good actor when he's speaking? Does Black Bolt speak?
No, he doesn't, and that's why it would be a good.
Yes, it's a good choice for him. He's got the good body type and everything.
He could be the one Inhuman that's nothing but a giant door, and he's a portal to other places.
I think his name is Karnak or something like
Karnak?
that. I don't know. But so shortly after that, Marvel announced that they did have a completed Inhuman script. And what they do with these scripts is they did it with the Guardian script too, is they send them out and they find out which directors like them. And the directors that like them and can bring back with some creative input, they hire. Like James Gunn read the script and he liked it and he punched it up with what he wanted, but kept the script pretty normal because Marvel has this weird like beginning writers project thing that they have going. So that's really cool. They're bringing in new blood all the time, and they're letting directors pick their movies, not just assigning a director because he's a big name in Hollywood.
That's good. Someone that's like, I love this comic.
Yeah.
I could do this justice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You guys are doing an Inhumans movie? This script is amazing. I want to be in on it. By the way, Marvel, I haven't even read your script, and I think it's amazing. I would love to direct it.
Or even have a side acting part. I could be an Inhuman in the background.
I would definitely be like an Inhuman blacksmith with like 5 arms. Ting, 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 ting. Ting, 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 ting,
5 on
ting,
each
ting.
side, or 3 on one side and 2 on the other?
3 on one side and 2 on the other.
2 on each side and 1 on top of your head.
So ting, 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 clang.
Yeah, that's awesome. In Inhumans, if you don't know who they are basically Marvel's answer to mutants.
Yep.
They are,
which is weird because that's a Marvel property and not a DC property.
Well, in the movie realm and the TV realm, they're the answer to mutants because they can't say mutant.
They got the right back to it.
Did they?
From what I hear, that Fox, they finally brokered a deal with Fox to say mutants again.
Yay!
Which no, I don't really care. They can be Inhumans. Fox can have their own little thing and whatever. But Inhumans are humans that, like ancient humans that were genetically modified by the Kree. Going back to them.
Back to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And when they're exposed to this mist called the Terrigen mists, they change genetically.
It mutates them.
Yeah, so this big giant dog that we were just talking about was a human. Was a human before the Terrigen mist. And it's not pleasant most of the time. Like there's very rarely does it ever give you something that is beneficial without making you look kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, most of the Inhumans are grotesque and they're changed.
I mean,
deformed. Even like I was talking, I was not joking about. There is a guy that is literally a door frame and a door and a face at the top of it.
Yep, and he doesn't speak. He just takes you where you need to go.
Yep, he just can make portals anywhere.
The main Inhumans are Medusa, which is the queen of the Inhumans, and even she's beautiful and everything, but she's got long hair that can't be cut, and it's this long red hair that's basically prehensile.
Yeah, she can control it and use it as
and
weaponry.
It's super strong. It can like put out fires and not get burned and everything. And then Black Bolt himself, who is probably the most normal looking Inhuman, cannot talk because the tiniest sound from his voice,
whisper, destroys cities.
So it's not a very good thing to be exposed to Terrigen Mist. I mean, there's a lot of X-Men out there who are mutants, and mutants are supposed to be a curse and whatever, but a lot of the mutants look pretty damn good compared to Inhumans.
The difference is the Inhumans have their own, like, city. Yeah. It's basically a flying
society.
City.
They actually have several different societies around the world that are all hidden. And the latest, if you want a comic to read and you're just barely getting into comics, the Inhuman comic is really good. There's this kid. So basically, Black Bolt unleashed the Terrigen Mist on the entire world, and it puts people in these cocoons, and when they emerge, they have powers.
Yeah.
And it focuses on this kid named Dante, who finds out that somewhere in his past somebody was genetically modified.
Great grandfather, and he has like 0.5% of his DNA is Inhuman DNA, and
yep. So he gets in the cocoon, and he comes back out, and he can't control when he lights himself on fire, and basically starts burning everything around him. And it's not just Johnny Storm like flame on type stuff either. It's like full on. He beasts out with like black skin and everything in it, and I think it burns him a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like he comes out like soot black at least, and of course, because his name's Dante, they call him Inferno. Clever Marvel.
Or not clever Marvel, depending on.
But I think an Inhumans movie would be great, and it would kind of be a stab at Fox, to be honest.
Yeah.
To say we don't need our mutants
Look,
to make.
We have better mutants.
Yep, we have mutants improved.
Yeah. Mutants 2.0.
Yep. Guess what, Scott? I have some exciting news for you. If you probably just read it, but I have some exciting news for you.
Go on.
Michael Bay.
Boo!
Has come out and said that he's probably going to hand off the Transformers franchise to another director.
Yay! Reboot.
Yay!
It's gonna reboot.
I don't know.
Better reboot.
I don't know if it's a reboot or if it's just a next one in the series.
Let's get it rebooted.
Let's do a reboot, guys.
Let's never hire Shia LaBeouf for anything else ever again.
Just Hollywood, you're listening, right?
Right. They're all listening. They always listen. NSA, you're listening. Tell Hollywood, never hire Shia LaBeouf for anything else ever again. Never
NSA's
hire
like, we'll do that.
Never hire his stupid parents that they got to.
I like the dad is from Small Soldiers, if you remember.
No, I don't think he did very good.
Oh, okay.
He kind of had the no fest that
Really?
Shia LaBeouf did too.
Okay, well that just means it's Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So it's good that he's not continuing on. He claims he wants to move on to other projects. There's other things out there for him. But really, I think finally the studio's like, yeah, you better say that you're done, or else we're going to kick you out, and it's not going to be very nice.
People hate him.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole, like, acting world dislikes him.
And
they may not... Like,
he knows it, too.
Yeah.
There's no way that he doesn't know this. That's why he gave us a big F.U. every single time.
Maybe not the whole acting world. I take that back. The whole critic world and pretty much most users.
Yeah.
Some people like the Transformers movie because they're just dumb action.
Yeah.
But you can't look at a Transformers movie and be like, that was a great movie. At best, it's mediocre. The first one was mediocre. Anytime there were Transformers on the screen, it was pretty cool.
We did like the first one, remember?
Sure.
We watched that several times in a row.
I know. I still liked it. But now that I look back on it with, less ruby lenses, or whatever they call it.
We were kind of just excited for Transformers.
We were just like, yay, Transformers, and the second one was terrible.
But in a post-Pacific Rim world, Transformers is awful.
That's what they could have been.
Yeah.
They could have been just so awesome.
Yeah, they could have been pulled back and amazing. So, I don't know. It's just...
In a post-1986 Transformers the movie world.
Yes, that's right.
The animated movie.
It's not...
Which is fantastic.
You should really... That should be your pick of the week, Scott. Just go back and watch the 1986. Yeah. However, there is one thing that Michael Bay is going to be doing. He's going to be producing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 coming in 2016.
Okay, I have a perfect comment for that.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Not the longest sigh, but pretty good. It won't make it into any Guinness Book of World Records.
No, it's not. It wasn't a record-breaking sigh. It was a
very disappointed sigh. Do you want to go ahead and get into our TMNT review?
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good
jumping on point.
We saw TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we bit the bullet for you.
We did.
For those of you who are waiting for us to tell you what it was like, if you like Transformers, you probably will be okay with this movie, is what I'm going to say.
You know what? I would rank it above the Transformers as far as
I would
watchability
too.
goes.
So, a lot of people that I've been talking to who have been asking me about this, they're like, "Oh, was it the CG? Was that the problem? It looked really heavily CG."
No.
And I said, "No. Every time that the turtles were on screen, and every time that they were having a scene together with Splinter, I was incredibly happy. It was the movie I wanted, and it was
Their
fun.
mouths did look a little funky, but whatever. They
it's a
took some
style
liberties.
choice.
Okay.
I mean,
But
Man of
everything else
Steel
looked
doesn't
fine.
look the way he does in the comics. It's fine.
Yeah.
But then every time they would bring in a human character, the villain, any of the villains, including Shredder was incredibly one-dimensional. What was his point?
He had a dimension. He was cloaked in shadow 99% of the
and
time.
honestly, they didn't even take him out with a guitar solo, which kind of sucks.
That's for you, Hannah. Secret of the Ooze.
That was not the guitar solo that took out the Shredder.
I'm glad you're not in a rock
I
band.
am too. Yeah. I play rock band.
Now, Cory, on mouth bass.
I can't even do that.
That's on dubstep. That's on the dubstep.
Oh, sorry,
machine.
my mouth music is set wrong. I honestly, the worst part of the movie is Megan Fox. She's awful.
Yeah, I mean, she's good to look at, but that's about it.
And that's exactly why she was there.
I know.
There was nothing else that she was there for. And they even revealed that in the first 5 minutes of the movie, saying, "Oh, she's just the good-looking reporter girl who does all the fluff pieces and bounces on trampolines." I'm not kidding, by the way.
Yeah, no, she really
Bounces
did a
on a
report
trampoline.
where she'd bounce on trampoline.
That was
Bent over, bouncing on trampoline. Yeah.
Once again,
Yep.
the size. The only human character that I actually enjoyed was Will Arnett's character.
Yeah.
He was
and half of that was because every time we talked, I was like, Batman.
Yeah.
Batman.
Batman. Which I think they were trying to get him to look like a younger guy than he was, though.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like he was trying to be younger than he was, and it really didn't work out even
To
then.
make his part perfect, he should have said, "You are so disappointing to me on so many levels."
Just go watch the Lego movie instead. It's got a Teenage Mutant Ninja
Go watch
Turtle in
Guardians
it.
of the Galaxy and
Yeah,
the Lego
you're
movie
right.
instead of TMNT.
They're pretty much the same movie.
Only not at all.
I told you about this last podcast that people are making parallels between them because Chris Pratt's in both. Like I said, the fight scenes. Okay, so this is the one thing great that I'm going to say about the movie. When they did the fight scenes between two characters, when the first one that they did was Splinter versus 4 foot soldiers, and then Shredder came in and he got to fight him.
Well, there were other fight scenes before
Yeah.
where they beat up the turtles, beat up a bunch of guys
Yeah, but I'm
in the tunnel, but you
specifically
can't
citing,
see it.
Yeah,
It's all in the dark.
because
and
it's supposed to be Batman.
yeah, it's supposed to be hidden and stuff.
Yeah, which there were 2 DC references in like the
Doing his
first
Batman voice.
Oh, he's doing his Batman voice. But when they get into the fight scene with Splinter versus Shredder, and then later on when they get into the fight scene with Raphael versus Shredder, they pull the camera back and set it in place. And they set it in place, and it starts looking like a fighting game.
Like Street Fighter.
Yeah, like Street Fighter or something. And you
Round
can
one.
almost, you
Fight.
can almost hear that and see the life bars come up, and you see them fight, and it's incredible. Like those parts, you're just like, and then they cut away
Yeah.
to Megan Fox with her mouth open.
She does a lot of heavy mouth breathing the whole movie.
Yep.
And her mouth stays open most of the time.
Yeah.
So she's a mouth breather.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. You don't like the turtle voices, I'm assuming,
Well, they were a little off-putting.
because they weren't the turtles you grew up with. That's for
No,
sure.
definitely weren't the turtles I grew up with. And the one, Donatello, at first, when you first hear his voice, he sounds just like Jesse Eisenberg.
He does sound just like Jesse
exactly
Eisenberg.
like him.
Yep.
And I even said in the theater, I was like, I think that's Jesse Eisenberg. And I had to go look it up before I could finish watching the movie.
It's not. FYI.
It's not. It's FYI, but
The only one that I actually recognized from the actors for the voice actors of the turtles was Johnny Knoxville is Leonardo, which is a really weird choice to put Johnny Knoxville at Leonardo.
I couldn't picture him. Even after you told me that, I was like, no, I can't see it.
Yeah.
So he changed his voice just enough, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good sign.
Like I mean,
Vin Diesel.
Johnny Knoxville's kind of done his.
Vin Diesel can change his voice to the point where...
That's true. I barely said, "Oh, that's Vin Diesel" when I was listening to Groot.
No, I just
Same
said
with
that's
Rocket.
Groot.
Same with Rocket, by the way.
That's true.
I wasn't like, oh, that's Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. No, it was, oh, that's Rocket Raccoon.
Yep. There's no other voice like him except for him.
But I think the voice actors were fine. Tony Shalhoub was Splinter the Rat, which was pretty hilarious. He's, for those of you who don't know, he's the guy who gets his head blown off in Men in Black. He's the pawn shop owner.
Pawn shop guy.
Yeah, and then he's also Monk.
Which plays a great part in Men in Black.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
and like I said, when it was the Turtles and Splinter talking, or the Turtles talking with each other, or like just having antics, it was funny and it was great. Like, Mikey's sleepwalking. Mikey's not actually awake. He's sleepwalking. Like things like that.
Yeah.
It was funny. And then they cut away to April O'Neil, and I just wanted to blow my brains out.
So how many geek cards do you give this?
I can barely give it 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
It's not. I'm not gonna say it's
2 out of
terrible.
5.
Yeah,
right?
2 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's like completely awful because there's redeeming qualities. And like I said, every time the Turtles were on, I was like, "This is the movie I want. Just give me this." The fight scenes were kind of good. I did get a little heartfelt at the end there when Raphael's talking to his brothers as they're all, well, spoiler alerting.
Yeah. While they're in peril,
yes,
we should say.
Yeah, the kind of classic "before we die, I just want to say" kind of thing, and he's talking about it, and I was kind of like, you know what, that's good. That made me. And that's the thing is, that's what made me love the movie, and that's the only reason it gets 2 stars at all is because they had half of a good movie.
Half a good movie.
Yep. And a little bit less because they focused too much on the human characters.
Just like in Transformers.
Yeah, just
like I was saying
like
before.
any Michael Bay movie.
Get rid of all the humans out of Transformers and make it be all about the Transformers.
I mean,
and I'm so into it.
You can look back at the old Ninja Turtles movies and you can say, "Oh, those are pretty cool," even though the costumes are weird and they don't fight with their weapons and there's a ninja rap. Oh yeah, in the first one they do. They focus on the turtles, and then they have the human characters that are kind of they're there, and
Although
you do get some
like
development
Casey
with it.
Jones.
Yeah,
I like Casey Jones.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, that was dumb, but
yeah. Well, there's like I said, it's a 80s, 90s movie. Of course, it's going to be done.
You know, they've already greenlit it for TMNT 2.
Well, it's made like 500 million so far
Already?
Yeah.
Did it?
No, I don't think it beat Guardians. Or at least, you know, it said 500 million.
That's a little high. That sounds a little high for
maybe
opening
that's
week.
what it's projected. We're gonna go ahead. We'll look up at the box office here really quickly. Scott, but first, let's talk about DayZ. Do you know what that is?
It sounds like the book, one of the books by Max Brooks.
It's not. It's actually, I think it's Arma. You know Arma, the video game. It's kind of like this army simulator.
No.
I
I know America's Army from way back when.
I think that's what actually it turned into.
Okay.
Was Arma, and Arma had this mod in it called DayZ, and it was basically Minecraft for a zombie survival. So you ran around and you gathered like wood, and you found materials in houses, and like you would put up barricades. It's not as like build your house as Minecraft is. It's more grab wood and build barricades, or go find a backpack and grab the water from it so you can survive and stuff.
Okay.
It's very popular. In fact, it's more popular than Arma is. And it's its own game now on
modding
Steam.
community.
Exactly.
I love the modding community.
You guys are amazing. But they decided that they're going to develop it for the PS4. So for those of you DayZ fans out there on the PlayStation, and you like PlayStation, you know, you're getting one. All right, Scott.
Speaking of games,
Yeah.
Space Engineers, going back to probably our first or second
yeah.
episode, they have come out with a ton of new updates, and I've been getting kind of back into it. I kind of tapered off there for a little bit because, granted, they're the best game company I've ever seen when it comes to updating. They update every week on Thursday, and it's always something good, always something new. They added totally new features, not just like bug fixes and stuff. Like, that's one thing that bugged me about Blizzard. They always had patch updates every Tuesday, but it was always bug fixes.
Yeah.
Which is good on one hand because they don't have bugs, but on the other hand, there's no new content added to it. But anyways, they've come out with some new stuff. So I was just going to throw in there, they've now opened up modding. So if you're a game modder,
Ooh,
you can now mod for it. You can make all kinds of stuff. And they even like released all their stuff on how to code and everything like that. It's freaking awesome. I was looking at it the other day. I was looking at some of the mods, and they're all the mods that are currently available are now on the Steam Workshop for free.
oh,
You just go up, you click on them, it downloads to your game.
Minecraft has a huge modding community that pretty much propels the game into unimagined heights.
Yeah, the game would not be nearly as good without the modding community behind it, and I firmly believe that. If you run a server for Space Engineers, when you log into it as a client or as a user, it'll automatically download the mods. So you can make your servers have mods on them.
Oh, cool.
So if you want certain mods, they're like, this server has lasers and shields and, you know, this and that
So
and the other.
you don't have to start a new server with the new mods on it. You can just have them install on your current server. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, correct. Yep.
Because I don't think Minecraft does that. I think Minecraft you have to
start all over.
You have to start all over each time. By the way, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was top of the box office this week because, you know, it's opening weekend and people like it. Only 65 million domestically, but 50, maybe it was 50 million that I was reading, and that's still enough for like a sequel, like for an opening weekend.
Yeah.
And
it'll probably make
Guardians of the Galaxy, 42 million. Still
Goes right behind it.
Yeah, right behind it. So you're going strong, Guardians.
Keep going.
Yep.
What have they made total? What has Guardians made total?
I don't know.
Did they? I heard like 350 million was
I think
was a
they're,
number that's thrown around.
Yeah, I think they're about there. I wouldn't be able to find it and have it be good radio, so we'll figure it out and we'll let you know. Scott, why don't we talk about the stupid situation going on over at San Diego?
Is it about all the hipsters? I know they have this major hipster problem.
Yes.
And they're trying to eradicate them all with
hipsters
anti-hipster stuff, like pop music and country.
Hipster repellent spray.
Yes, hipster repellent spray, which basically you push the button and it plays popular pop music.
Get away!
No, oh, they were never cool, so I couldn't like them.
I like the music, but I'm too cool for it. I have a friend who listens to the podcast, and she's a hipster. So
hi, hipster friend of Cory's.
Now you know why I make fun of you so adamantly about being a hipster.
Hey, guess what? I made fun of hipsters before it was cool.
Please don't stop listening. We need the views. No, I'm talking about the fact that San Diego Comic-Con has filed lawsuit against Salt Lake Comic-Con.
Yes.
Because they did
controversy
the cease and desist order way back when Comic-Con was going around.
When San Diego Comic-Con was going on.
And we told you about that 2 weeks ago when after it was over. Well, Salt Lake Comic-Con said, nope, you're not going to get us to stop. And so they filed lawsuit against them. And you said against all the other Comic-Cons out there?
I think it's focused on SLC first because, well,
we're the biggest.
We're the biggest other than San Diego.
And they're scared of us.
And they're definitely scared of drawing away the crowd. And so they did this lawsuit. They said, basically, we're going to sue you. You can't use that. You can't use the word Comic-Con, which is 2 words, Comic Convention.
Yeah,
it has nothing. It's not a brand name. Comic-Con can be a brand name. That's fine.
The whole point behind it, I think, is a brand confusion thing. They don't want people to associate Salt Lake Comic-Con with San Diego, because if Salt Lake Comic-Con does something bad, like does something that's not favorable, it could reflect badly on all things labeled Comic-Con.
We're in Utah, though.
Yeah.
The chances of them doing something like unfavorable, pretty slim, to be honest.
Yeah, you should look at the cosplay rules on the Salt Lake Comic-Con
they're pretty strict.
Yeah. Because we do live in that kind of state. I think, honestly, it doesn't matter at this point. If they win, in the slight 1% chance that they could win, if they do, it's not gonna matter. Salt Lake Comic-Con could say, okay, we're Salt Lake Geek Con now.
Yep.
and or Salt Lake Geek Con presented by Acts of Geekery, and now we're
You make it sound like we're going to sponsor them.
I'm just kind of.
I'm sorry, I don't have the funds for that.
No. There's
$5.
They're willing to ally with us as soon as they realize just how popular we are.
That's true. I mean, we've got so many people behind us.
We got fat stacks.
Fat stacks of people.
Yep. No, you guys aren't fat. We're not saying that.
Yeah, you're not fat. The stacks are just because there's lots of.
Yeah. You're all stacked high.
Yes.
Yeah, like in a warehouse,
Squishing each other.
being examined by top men.
Top men.
Top men.
That
was a nice little pop filter for y'all. Sorry about that.
I think that this will be actually good publicity for Salt Lake Comic Con.
Bad news is the best news.
And I think more people are going to go and support it because it's such a dumb lawsuit. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone's heard of those dumb lawsuits. McDonald's made me fat.
McDonald's spilled my coffee and it was too hot in my lap.
Yeah, we've all heard that kind of stuff. But this is worse than that. You can't use 2 words in your title.
No judge is ever going to say, yes, you're right. They're going to be like, no, you can't do that. What
I'm hoping happens, because San Diego is now, 1, wasting money on a frivolous lawsuit.
Yep.
2, they are giving themselves a bad name, which 3 leads to all the other vendors being associated with San Diego Comic-Con then doing this stuff. I hope, and I really hope this happens, I hope that all those vendors that love San Diego Comic-Con for everything see how well Salt Lake Comic-Con does and decide, hey, we're going to go there instead.
Because they're doing great.
We're going to announce stuff there.
Yeah.
You guys, see ya. All the Hall H, the movie stuff. I hope that moves here. I hope that all moves here, and I hope that
so amazing.
It moves to the point where Salt Lake Comic-Con says, well, heck, we're going to have our Comic-Con in July or
you guys can move to September.
Yep, you guys can go September.
Give them the old Marvel treatment.
Yeah. And
no, you move.
And I hope that happens. I hope that these companies see how ridiculous this is. Chances are they won't, but it would be great if they did. And they say, we don't really want to be associated with a company or a brand that is alienating our customers.
Yeah.
By saying, only one Comic-Con. Comic-Con should be a worldwide thing.
Exactly. There should be more. I mean, if you want to have that kind of brand name, you should have done it yourself a long time ago. Yep. You should have had multiple cons over multiple states.
And they did. Well, they branded their thing. Comic-Con is theirs.
Yeah.
Con is theirs. No one else uses Comic-Con. They use Comic Space Con.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 words.
Yeah. Comic Convention.
Comic Convention. That's it.
I think the only thing that San Diego could do is say to all the actors and all the vendors, if you want to support Salt Lake Comic-Con, you're not going to be welcome at San Diego. And you know what that would do? It would make it so Salt Lake Comic-Con goes, hey, you want to be free and be able to do what you want and not have to be under the... Because honestly, I've heard a lot of vendors talking about how San Diego Comic-Con doesn't get them any money anymore.
There's too many of them,
and I've heard a lot of
charge them a ton of money.
I've heard a lot of small vendors who got in, and the only reason that they keep going is because they don't want to lose their spot. Because if they skip a year, San Diego basically writes them off and gets somebody else in there. And Salt Lake Comic-Con can say, you know what, we have a lot more space than the San Diego Convention Center. Why don't you all come over here?
We really?
I think we do. I think the San Diego Convention Center is really lacking, and International have been pushing San Diego to grow bigger, saying you need your convention to grow bigger, or else we might take it to Las Vegas or something like that. So I think the only reason why this is such a huge deal though is because it's so close to home, because we're not like New York Comic-Con way over in over on the eastern seaboard.
We're a 14-hour drive away from San Diego.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think they're like you said, they're scared that we're going to take all their business, and you know what? We might, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I'd be perfectly fine with that. I don't care if the comic convention prices go up. That's fine.
Yeah,
it happens. Stuff goes up. Prices go up every year for everything.
Yep. and we'll be right there buying it every year for everything.
Yeah, I love my geek stuff enough that that can be a major budget line.
And bigger pricing means bigger names are coming in. It means more exclusives are coming in. It means bigger prize packs and everything like that.
I hope they fix the cell traffic problem we had last year. It was there's so many people using so many of the cell towers. You could not get a signal. It was
we
overloaded.
broke everybody's cell phones.
We broke the cell phone network basically in Salt Lake.
It was like there was an apocalypse going on.
Pretty much. Major is worse than a major crisis.
So let's get into Salt Lake Comic-Con guests this week.
Some positive news.
Yes,
from
some
Salt Lake
positive.
Comic-Con, not negative news.
They've added a lot of artists. They've added some YouTube performers too. Nobody that I know, nobody that you know. They added this is not. I'm not excited about this. They added a psychic and a hypnotist, like a famous psychic and hypnotist. And I know how you feel about psychics, and I feel pretty much the same way.
I think they're all a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah,
and I'm willing to say that on a podcast. They are bunk. There's no science behind them.
Yeah.
And if you disagree with me, let's have a discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you'll lose.
Yeah, send us an email.
Because, it's just facts.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
And from what I understand, is they're not just like psychic shows; they're comedy psychic shows, which is a little bit better because it's kind of like, comedy hypnotism. It's just fun, and you know the people up there, even if they're hypnotized or they're not hypnotized.
Hypnotists I like. Yeah, because I like them if they do the whole shows for the audience. I don't like them if they're trying to set up like a hypnotist practice over in the strip mall down the road, to cure people from disease, like whatever. Yeah. If they're doing it on stage and it's I'm gonna turn you into a chicken, 3, 2, 1. You're a chicken, and
the person starts clucking.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That's fun.
I think that's awesome. That's fun.
So there's something a little good.
Okay, so if it's comedy stuff, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they're providing.
See if it's bad or not.
The big guest announcements would start with the lesser of the two. Mr. Grant Imahara is coming
from MythBusters.
Yep, he's the Asian guy on MythBusters. For those of you who don't know,
he's the Asian guy. Now you know who he is.
Yep, and he's a huge advocate for everything geek. Like he's been on Will Wheaton's Tabletop a lot, which, by the way, I was thinking about this today, and they need to have a tabletop episode that has all of the kids from the Star Trek franchise, like all grown up. Will Wheaton, the kid who played Jake Sisko, and the guy who played Nog.
Okay, Jake Sisko,
Nog, and
Naomi Wildman from Voyager. The little girl with the little spikes on her head.
Oh, okay. Because they can get her, or they can get the guy who plays what's his name, Worf's kid.
Oh, Alexander Oshenko.
Alexander,
no, please.
Well, I mean,
hopefully he's better now, but no.
Just get him in and playing a game. Will Wheaton, if you're listening, please tell us if you're listening. That would be super cool. But we just gave you a good idea, so.
No, we gave you a fantastic idea. Hey, you could have the Brothers Geek on tabletop.
We would love to come on.
We would love to come on to that show.
I bet you think we're totally alright and would fit in that show too.
we're a something.
Yes,
we're definitely
we
a
are
something.
So let's get to the big announcement. The man himself is coming back, people.
Excelsior!
Stan frickin' Lee. And he's not just coming back for one day like he did last year, where he came back for like 5 hours, and then he was like, "You guys are rushing me out already. What's going on?"
He's gonna be there the whole time.
He's gonna 2 days.
2 days.
Yep, 2 out of 3. So Friday, Saturday, Thursday's kind of the preview night. So, but he's coming 2 days, and he's going to be signing autographs and making you happy with his old guy charm and everything. Which that was one thing about the Guardians that I liked, was they got the Stanley cameo out of the way early. So you didn't have to worry about that coming in later and kind of taking you out of the movie.
Yeah, I saw that announcement today, and I kind of squeed. I was like, oh, yeah.
And they said they had a couple big Marvel announcements, and I know they announced some artists today from Marvel, but I'm hoping that they have one more like Marvel announcement that they got in the pocket. Maybe Kevin Feige is coming. The guy who's like responsible for all of Marvel Studios movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's kind of the head over Marvel, and and he kind of runs that side of things so that he makes sure everything works together. And if he comes, it's going to be nothing but questions of, can you tell us anything about Inhumans? Can you tell us anything about the Hulk?
Yeah, I came to the conclusion that the Hulk. Was I talking to you about this? The Hulk is not a solo movie character.
Oh yes, we were talking about this.
The Hulk to me belongs on a team.
Yep, he
does best on a team.
He's like an artifact in a museum. He belongs on a team.
Yep. He belongs in a team museum.
Yeah, team museum. Scott, do you have any other news?
Not any news.
Okay.
I've got some trailers.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into trailers.
One that you'll love. Big Hero 6.
Yay!
A new TV spot. It's only about 15 seconds long. It's got Baymax, and it says Baymax's like ocean tips or something like that. And he comes up and he says, "Make sure you wait 1 hour before swimming in the ocean." And then afterwards, one of my favorite lines from one of the guys on the Big Hero 6 team: "Science, it's how we know things."
I knew you'd like that line.
I think that's great. So that's awesome.
Okay.
One you'll be even more excited about, however, just got released. The new World of Warcraft cinematic for the next expansion.
Hang on, I gotta go watch this.
That's from upstairs, folks. He's screaming from upstairs while watching it. And I think I heard a pop and his head exploded.
It was amazing.
It was very well done.
Oh my gosh. If you don't like Blizzard games, you should at least check out their cinematics.
They do probably some of the best CG.
The best.
Yeah, probably the best.
There's nobody better who can do a CG.
Yeah, I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good.
No, like video game wise.
Video game CG. Yeah, they do some of the best CG out there. There are other games that come kind of close. I know one or two episodes, League of Legends is getting to that point, which is awesome. Maybe they can have some competition or a team up.
League of Legends, World of Warcraft mashup.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. It's called Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. That's what it is. But it was really good, really well done. It was about 3 minutes or so long. You can find it on YouTube. Super awesome. And if you're into the lore, it's got a lot of awesome lore stuff in it that you'll like.
Yeah, like it's got huge parallels between.
I'll have to talk to my best friend about it. He loves the lore behind Warcraft and stuff.
We're sharing a podcast together, Scott. You can talk to me about it here.
No, my other best friend.
Okay, alrighty. I was the only one. It's gonna be Highlander. There can only be one.
There can only be one. You have to kill him. Oh,
yep.
No.
Let's see. What can I use as a weapon?
Run away.
What are you, Dr. Zayas? Or no, not Dr. Zayas. Maurice? Run.
So another trailer we saw today, actually, not today, we saw it Sunday, before TMNT. The first time I'd ever seen this trailer.
It came out during San Diego Comic-Con, from what I understand, but I hadn't watched it yet.
I'd never heard of it and then watched it.
Oh.
The SpongeBob trailer.
We already saw the SpongeBob movie. There's already been one.
No, this one's a SpongeBob 3D movie.
What?
Where they come out of the ocean.
I love how I'm like, what is this? And I've seen them with you.
Yeah,
I just play it up for you guys. You guys all know that I've seen it. And yes, I agree with you. It looks great.
Yeah, the CG to me looks like the plastic vinyl toys that you get from the store of the characters, but come to life motion wise.
They look pretty good.
They look really good.
They're really blending it well, and Antonio Banderas is in it as the bad guy, as a pirate. So
that one's fun. Check that one out. Another trailer that you actually showed me today.
We talked about it on the podcast in our first or second episode, I think.
Yeah. Or was our video game episode?
Yep. Alien Isolation has a cinematic trailer out for it too.
A new game with Ripley's daughter.
Yep.
Stuck on a ship with an alien.
Maybe
alien. More than one. We don't know.
Ooh, I think it's just called Alien Isolation, so it might just be the one. And it looks pretty cool. There's a lot of, it's not a lot of action, like she pulls out a gun and starts shooting the alien.
It's kind of almost a horror.
Yeah, like
horror,
run away and
cinematic.
try and survive as fast as you can. Try and survive as fast as you can.
Survive as fast as you can. Die as slow as you can.
I'm not surviving as fast as I can.
That's the opposite of dying as slowly as you can.
Yes, that's true.
But that's all the trailers this week. I didn't see. Wait,
there's one more.
There's one more, but it's going to be my pick of the week,
Yep.
so I'll get to that later.
We'll get to that one later. You got to say we'll get to that later. Oh my gosh. Let's go ahead and get into our topic of the week. It's probably going to be kind of a quick topic, but I mean, we can probably fill a little bit of time about it. Today we're talking about comic books. Duh. But
wait, comic books?
Yeah, you know those.
This isn't a show about comic books. We don't like them.
We don't like your kind around here.
We don't serve comic books around here.
I don't like you either. No, we're going to be talking about the different formats of comic books and which one we like the best. We're going to...
Not just that, but the positives and the negatives, pros and cons of each format. And maybe if you haven't ever been into comics, you can use this advice or opinion. If you don't want to consider it advice, that's fine. Or opinion of what we like or don't like about it to either start your collection or however you want to do that.
Yeah. So there's 3 different types of comics as I define them out there. There's the classic, pick up a comic book. It's got 22
monthlies.
Pages. Yeah, the monthlies.
Yeah, they're called monthlies.
Yeah. Which sounds like something else. You get your monthlies. Or you can get what's the digital version of your monthlies, which are basically comic books on your computer tied to an account, and you get to read them from the computer
or your iPad or your phone.
You know, I read digital comics on my phone more than anything.
Yep.
And then the third is the collected volumes, which come in like a paperback or a hardback copy.
Yes,
and they collect a whole story.
They're usually a collection of 6 to 7 comics where there's no advertisements and stuff, and they put them all together in one binding, and it's kind of so you don't have to get them every month. You can wait for the year and get the 1 or 2, maybe 3 collected volumes of a certain title that you're interested in.
Scott, let's start with monthlies. Why should I get a monthly comic?
So monthly comics, which is what I get, and I get the physical monthly comics. There's the reason I like them is I like having a nice collection. I'm one of those. I'm a collector. When I get into something, I like to have lots of it.
That's definitely probably the biggest reason to start collecting physical comic books is to actually collect them.
Yeah. And I don't collect them on the idea of, oh man, one day they're going to be worth a lot of money. No, they're not. They're mass produced. They make 500,000 copies of them.
The 1940s.
Yeah, this isn't the 40s where they're all destroyed now and the paper falls apart. They're all acid-free pages and paper, and they don't get destroyed by your fingerprints anymore.
Yep.
They don't get destroyed by like being in a room without a sealed bag or anything anymore. So the reason for getting monthlies is an ongoing story that you don't want to wait for to be finished.
Yep.
So say you want to read Batman.
Yeah.
You want to read a Batman title.
You read Batman #1 and you get to the end, and at the end of every monthly, it's a cliffhanger.
It's always a cliffhanger.
There's always a
the
cliffhanger.
next one.
Yep.
And sometimes they line up. Like I want to say their cliffhanger doesn't always just flow right into the next comic.
Yeah.
A lot of times it skips to a different scene.
Yeah.
Which is I think could be a con for some people.
Yeah, you kind of, but that can only be a con if you're, it's a con for people who don't have very good memories when it comes to reading.
Yes.
Because people who read a chapter of a book and then put it down for a week and come back and go, oh, I forgot what this book was. I have to reread that chapter.
I can be kind of bad with.
I know.
Most of my comic reading, to be honest, is the first few pages of comic book. Personally, is me as it's going along. I'm kind of starting to remember, and I go, "Oh yeah, okay, now I remember exactly what happened in the last one." But that might also be because I have so many.
Yeah,
I get so many of them. I spend, $50 a week.
I don't spend nearly that much,
and I get how many 10 to 15 titles or more, depending on the week.
I think one of the things that Monthly Comics has done to help along with people who don't remember is the first couple of pages are people bringing up plot points. Like, oh, this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have been Doc Ock last week, you know?
Yeah. And Marvel's really good at
Yep.
the front page after the
recap.
The cover is always a recap, and it always kind of gives you a paragraph of what happened, what the whole story arc is about in general, and then it gives you a shorter paragraph usually of what exactly happened.
Yeah.
Last time Thor went to the other realm and he was looking for his sister and and now, and then you turn the page and boom,
you're
and it goes right into it.
Which can be a little bit detrimental when you get into a hardcover, because you're reading through this comic and you're reading stuff that you just read, because they're recapping. Like,
I don't believe they put them in there.
Really? You don't think they? Well, no, not like the cover page, like you were talking, but like when they're talking, where they're talking
pages.
about, where you'll read something and you're like, yeah, you don't have to tell me that. I just read it a little bit ago, which is just this little disconnect and everything. I think monthlies are great because you get it right then and there. You get it right in your hand. You get to crack that spine. There's just something about reading a book or a comic book that where you're actually physically holding it and flipping the pages, and you can bring it in close and look at a certain panel and kind of scrutinize it really well and everything.
So for me, I've got pros and cons for monthlies. Physical monthlies.
Yeah.
Pros: if you like collecting stuff, it's great to have shelves and shelves full of comics. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun. Another pro: you get to see the artwork for the covers on every single one. You don't get to see that as much with the hardcovers.
Yep.
Sometimes we'll throw it in there, sometimes they don't.
Usually it'll be at the end of the book when you're done with it anyway, and you're kind of just like, man, whatever.
Yeah, and you're kind of over with the book, and you want to get to the next one. I would say they're about the same price, equaled out as hardcovers. When it comes down to it, they're roughly the same price. Maybe not with tax and everything. Maybe they're a few dollars more, but they're not too bad. Some cons for them. Another pro, I guess, would be you get to be in the story as it's being written. Yeah. You're not reading about it a year later.
And not getting spoiled online and going, oh, I should probably pick that comic up later, you know. I would say a big con about monthlies is the fact that it's only 22 pages, mostly 22 to 26.
Well, it's 26 pages or 22 pages of comic art, but then it's also 6 to 10 pages of advertisements. Either for other books in the line of, you know, DC or Marvel or Image or whatever, or for other things like Subway. For the longest time, Subway had their stupid,
or sneakers, you know. And I think not just the con that it's too short, but the con that once you get to the end of it and you see that cliffhanger, you go, I have to wait a whole month to read this again. It just makes it a little wary to actually buy it. It's like, but you know, they do that with books too. Like your Harry Potter books, everybody had to wait.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Game of Thrones is a huge example.
That's the worst example. George R.R. Martin cornered the market on leaving an open-ended spoiler for years. Years between books. I'd rather wait a month than years.
Yeah, that's true.
Another con would be they're fairly fragile. They're made out of sort of thin paper. Yeah. I think DC has a little bit higher quality books than Marvel does.
Yep.
They put out not content, but as far as the actual physical paper and the ink and stuff, they have a little bit higher quality.
Yeah, especially for their higher priced books.
Yeah.
Like and the Justice League and stuff, they have kind of that thicker paper and the thicker cover.
That's the downside. So I've had many a comic where I've been reading them and I open up to the middle page and I pull just a little too hard with my thumb or something and it rips right off of the staples right in the middle.
Every collector that's listening just went, oh no.
Yeah. And it's not
we
on
all
purpose.
know what it's like.
It's not on purpose. Yeah. I'm just flipping through the page and I just slide my thumb too much and it catches and just right through. It just rips right through. So, I mean, that's a downside.
Yeah. But on the other hand,
they don't take very much space. I mean, they really don't.
You can slip them into your bookcase like nothing. You have a bookcase completely full of them that probably is at least 2 or 3 years worth.
Yeah, it's about...
Well, actually, probably about 6 months with how many you get.
Yeah, I've also got. Well, I also haven't shown you the 3 drawers full of them.
Oh my gosh!
And the 4 other
There's
stacks that
a
I've got.
huge con is they do take up space.
They do. Yeah, so they don't take up space if you're just getting a small run.
Yep.
But they do if you've got a lot of them. But that's why they sell the cardboard boxes to hold them, and they're.
But
made
even
for,
those take up space.
For stackable, you can stack those and
You know,
stuff.
it doesn't take up space.
Digital.
Like
They take up bits and ones and zeros of space.
A little bit of electrons, you know, trying to.
Few electrons get highly inconvenienced.
Yes, exactly. I like digital comics for that reason, and I like it because if I'm away from my house and I go, I have like 20 free minutes where I'm not doing anything.
Let's face it, you're in the toilet.
Yeah, okay.
You took
I
a
don't
bathroom.
spend 20 minutes on the toilet.
You took a bathroom break at work to get away from work, but you're like, I want to read a comic book. So you pull out your phone.
Yep, and you can download your comics anywhere you are.
Yep.
I mean, you only rent them. That is probably one of the big cons.
Well, we mentioned a couple episodes ago about Comixology.
Yep.
Putting some of their stuff DRM free, so they can be permanently downloaded.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Which is awesome.
But you're not getting your big titles yet, like Marvel and DC.
So the downside to them being rentable by that is if Comixology ever went under, went bankrupt, closed,
which they can't now that they're owned by Amazon. But okay.
Yeah, the chances of them going down are pretty small. But even if they weren't owned by Amazon and they failed, and this is why I have a problem with Steam as well.
Yeah,
I like Steam on one hand because it's convenient and easy.
But if they just decide to shut off their servers, you're done.
You're screwed.
Yep.
They don't have to offer you, and that's part of their license agreement. I actually read through the license agreement one time. The one time I've ever read through it. They state in there, we are not responsible, one, for Steam servers not being up and running if they're having problems.
That bugs me about license agreements. We are not responsible if we cannot provide you the service that we said we provide you.
Well, you're not paying for the service.
That's true.
You're paying for the rental of the game, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
People think, well, I bought it, I own it. Well, guess what? Until you have a physical copy with a license key in your hand, you don't own it. I'm sorry, you don't. And
it's
even
like
then,
ballpark nachos, you're just renting
even
them.
then, if you have a game or a comic in this case that has to connect back to a server to be able to say, yes, this is a legitimate copy, let him read it, let him watch it, let him play it, whatever, you still don't own it. If it has to connect somewhere, you don't own it. So I would hope that in the future, if something like that ever happened with Comixology, they would say, look, we went under. Here's all your comics. You paid for them.
Yep.
You can have them all. Download them all. Go into your account and click on download all, and it'll put them into one bundle and stuff.
But the huge downside is they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't
Now,
have to.
the other downside is you're paying the same price for a digital copy as you would for the regular hard copy.
Yep.
Which is incredibly hard for people to do so far, because we live in that transition age where everything is going from a physical to a digital. And when people see two things that are the same price, one that you can actually have in your hand and the other one that you have on your phone for however long you have, the service, it's kind of easier to say, yeah, I want the physical copy rather than digital. However, Comixology, oftentimes after about 6 months, they'll drop the price down $1 or $2, and they'll have these sales that'll be get the collected works of like I got the full volume of Runaways, a $15 comic book for $2.
Yeah, because it was on
or $15 hardcover, basically. Yeah. So they do stuff to try and appease that little notion of I'm spending way too much.
But you gotta wait. Mm-hmm. You can't get them if you want to buy them the day that they come out, just like you would walk into your local comic book shop and get them or order them online and have them shipped to your house. You're going to be paying the cover price, $3.99, $2.99, etc.
That's another thing is if you go to your comic shop for more than just comics, if you go there for games and your collectibles and stuff, and you're spending your money all at digital places, you're not supporting your comic book shop. Comixology gives a little kickback every now and then if you say which comic book shop you got it from. It sends a little money back to them saying, hey, these people are saying that you're the one who...
And I always do that.
Yeah.
So Marvel Comics, most of their titles that are $3.99, which is over the $2.99 price.
Which is most of their titles.
Most of their titles now,
days,
they're popular ones. If they're $3.99, they come with a little sticker you peel off inside, and it's got a code underneath it. You punch the code into the website for Comixology, and you redeem it. And you
Which
get
is really cool.
now you get it digitally.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds, where you get the physical copy for your collection, but then you can take it anywhere you want to go.
Yep. DC does it too. They do it the wrong way, in my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Marvel offers it on their $3.99 comics. DC brings out their Justice League comic, and then they bring out their Justice League digital collecting edition, or whatever
Which
they
is like
call
a
it.
buck more expensive.
It's $1
isn't it?
more, so
Yeah.
it's $5 for the one comic book versus 4
Yeah.
and a digital copy.
Yeah.
But you also get the digital copy with 5 one.
It's not worth it, to be honest. It's like, yeah. So I mean, another problem with digital would be that
If you didn't have cell service
Yeah.
or Wi-Fi and you wanted to read a new comic, you couldn't. If the power was out and your devices are dead, you couldn't read it. I mean, that's a downside of it too.
Exactly.
Whereas, like, if I have a comic book and the power's out, you know, I can read by candlelight or a small flashlight or something.
Aw, candlelight.
Yeah. But the other thing that exists in both realms as well, physical and digital, are the collected editions.
And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of collected edition comics.
I am too, actually.
I mean, I mostly get monthlies. I don't ever hardly get collected editions. I don't ever hardly get digital unless they're a digital exclusive, or unless they're a comic that they don't have at the comic book shop. That's mostly when I buy my digital.
Yep.
But I love the collected edition for stories like The Boys or Irredeemable that I don't
Saga.
realize are there. Saga's another good one.
Saga's a great
Or
one.
just a storyline that you're like, oh, I kind of like that character, but I really don't want to sit there and try and trounce through the monthlies to get them. And or if you look at a comic book, or you hear a comic book's really good, say like Hawkeye, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye. I heard it's really good. They didn't have them at End Zone back to #1, so I'm gonna wait for the collected editions and buy up just the first 5 issues or
yeah,
whatever.
they were out of. They had back to like issue 5 or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
They had nothing before. They're all out of them, and they don't order more because most comic book shops only order a set amount, and that's it.
Yep, and that's because they lose money if people don't accept them and things like that. Collected editions are really good if you want to save a little space, or if you want something that looks really good on your shelf.
Yeah, they look great.
Because regular comic books, you just kind of see the side or the flat white border.
Yep.
But for collected, it'll have like such and such volume 1, and you can have a whole row of all of your volumes, and it looks better.
Yeah, it'll have volume 1 through 10 of whatever, all by Image Comics or all by Boom or DC or Marvel. There's 2 different types of collected editions. I purchased both in the past. I lean towards one versus the other now. You've got paperbacks,
Yeah.
which are soft covers.
Yep.
So they're
Kinda
they're
the
little
same thing with
just
normal
cardboard
books.
cover,
Yeah.
just like a normal book. And then they also have hardcover, which is a thicker cardboard, heavy duty. It's going to be a lot more rugged, stand up
But it costs more.
here, but it does cost more.
Yeah.
And usually quite a bit more.
Yeah.
They're usually in the $10 to $15 more.
Yeah. So
edition.
I prefer the paperback ones myself.
Although the hardcover ones, most of the time they combine 2 of the paperback ones. So
That's
they're really
true.
not that much more, I guess, when you look at it. I just thought about that, actually.
But then you have to wait for a hardcover collection to come out, rather. Like, you have to wait even longer.
That's the biggest downside to me for collector's editions.
Waiting?
Is waiting. I don't mind waiting 5 months or 6 months to get a collected edition, but they don't come out at the end of 6 months.
No.
They come out on like a yearly cycle.
Yeah.
So they come out there. You've got volume. Say if you started at January, February, March, April, May, June for your monthlies.
Yep.
That volume's not going to come out until next January.
Really? It's
Yeah,
that
they're
long?
usually a year away,
Oh,
or at
wow.
least 6 months.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard if you really want to know what's happening in the
Yeah.
in the world
You
or
can't,
whatever.
I mean, you can't just rely on...
There's a couple books that I like that I haven't been into much. Like say Batgirl. I like Batgirl, but I'm not into it enough to get the monthlies.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with buying the collected editions.
And that's a huge pro about the collected editions, is you're not sitting there spending money on this every month where it's added to your weekly pile where you're like, oh, I'm spending more money than I was. You can go, oh, I have like 20 extra bucks. There's a collected edition that I want. I'll snatch it really quick, you know? Or you can go on Amazon. I saw on there, I'm a huge fan of the Spider-Girl storyline. I haven't gotten any of the collected editions, but I've read about it, and I think it's a really cool kind of alternate universe storyline. And I've looked on Amazon, and they're like, "Oh, you can buy this one used for $2." You know,
Yeah.
and usually the used ones, they come and they may have a little bends in them and everything like that.
Yeah, I had good and bad luck with used paperbacks. I've
Which
had
I don't
great
really
luck
mind.
with them. I've had great luck with them, and they look just like they were brand new because the person took care of them. And I've had bad luck with them where they've had crushed, not just crushed like outside corners, like
Yeah.
the spine has had crushed, bent parts of
Ooh.
it. I've had pages stuck together.
Yeah.
I don't know what was in them. If they spilled something, or if they really like.
Depends on the
if they-
comic.
if they really, really like Batgirl.
Oh gosh.
I mean,
We're gonna have to put that explicit tag up again.
again.
So final choice. Oh, there's one more thing that we should talk about actually. Marvel recently came out with their own little program, their own little app called Marvel Unlimited. Marvel Unlimited is a program kind of like Netflix.
It is the Netflix for comics.
Yep, where you can pay a subscription fee and you can read any of their comics up to like everything 6 months ago.
Yeah, they have, and they're adding. So they have 30,000 comics, I think, on there now. They're adding all of their new ones.
Yeah.
Up to, like you said, 6 months ago.
Yep.
So you have to wait a little bit. But same thing with Netflix. You have to wait for TV shows to come out.
And to be honest, you've got so much backlog to read if you want to actually catch up.
And they
everything.
are also adding more of the older ones.
Yeah. So
As they can scan them in and collect them and
you
stuff.
can go back and read the crappy X-Men comics. Yep. Back
Or
from
the great
70s.
ones if
Yeah,
you think they're great.
Yeah, if you think they're good.
But that one's awesome. You can pay monthly for that. I think
Yeah.
it's like $9 a month or $8 a month.
Which is pretty cool because you get to experience the comics that you probably will never experience otherwise.
Yes. Or you can pay a one-time fee.
Really?
You can, if you want, you can pay a discounted like $65 for the whole year, and you get a year's worth of subscription for it.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not
By
bad
the way,
at all, really.
our D&D Insider subscription is coming up in October.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
not
so
again.
we're all gonna have to pay for that. For all of my D&D homies listening, better get some money ready.
Cory can't front the bill all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
He spends way
by
too
the
much
way,
money
you're
on
doing
stuff.
dinner this week too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Fine. Ramen noodles it is.
head of broccoli for
A
everybody.
head of broccoli.
A shank of lamb.
But the head of broccoli is gone. I'm going to take each of the broccoli pieces and I'm going to carve everyone's face into it, carve their head into it, and
That would be a
the
good
hair is going to be a broccoli fro.
That would for everybody.
Yep. But I'm going to make
can't-
I'm going to make you eat yourselves.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand over you and make
Eat
sure
it.
you eat all of it.
Eat it. Eat your vegetables.
And I'm not gonna let you dip it in anything. You just gotta eat your broccoli plain.
Please, just a little bit of ranch.
So, final thoughts for your monthlies versus collected versus digital versus hard copy. What, Cory? What do you like?
I honestly, I'm a huge fan of the monthlies. Like I have digital copies that you have on the Comixology that we share. And I have not read them yet because I do not want to read the copies that I have physically in a digital format. I'd rather sit down, open up the book, feel the pages between my fingers. It's just kind of the guy who I am. So
Yeah. Yet, coming from the guy who reads everything on his Kindle book-wise.
not true.
No, not everything,
yeah,
but
it's true.
lately you've been
Yeah.
reading a lot of Kindle
That's
stuff.
just because I discovered that you can find books for like $3 on there, and
Yep.
yeah.
I like the monthlies as well. There are definite downsides that bug the crap out of me, like the advertisements, like the fact that they have cliffhangers and you gotta wait, the next month to get
Yeah.
them. I seem to buy more when I buy monthlies because I'm always
true.
I walk around the shop and I'm like, ooh, that looks good, and I'll grab
yeah.
it, and then I'll go, wait, this is number 3. Well, I got to get 2 and 1 to be able to be caught
I've done
up.
that sometimes to tell you about a storyline that I heard about from another podcast or something.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, crap, and you'll start pulling out all of the individual issues.
Yeah. I wish I had more patience for collected editions.
Yeah.
Because now Marvel and DC are both saying, hey, people like collected editions. So they go, why don't we just make them all of our characters, because there's a lot of times in the past they would only do collected editions for big events, big crossovers, big world-changing events,
or their teams like the Avengers.
Yeah, or teams. Yeah. Now they're doing everything. Now they've got everything. So I got a couple Batgirl editions. I get the collected editions for the comics that I don't get monthlies, like from other non DC, non Marvel
I think that's mostly where I would get my collected editions is places like Image or Zenoscope or Image. Yeah, I said Image twice.
Image,
Dynamite,
IDW, Boom, Dark Horse. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. There's a lot more than Marvel and DC, folks. You gotta check them out.
Yeah, in fact,
and they do really good stuff too. Like Marvel and DC have the corner on the superhero market, but if you want pretty much any other comic that deals with anything outside the superhero market, go with one of these third parties.
Do you like paperback or do you like hardcover?
Paperback all the way.
I go paperback all the way as well,
because honestly, it's that whole. It's really convenient for me because you have Planet Hulk, which is a hardcover.
Yes.
And you have The Boys, which is a paperback. I can sit back, open up The Boys, and just relax in my bed while Casey's sleeping and read it. But with the hardcover book, it's like huge and bulky, and the pages
kind of unwieldy. You have a stupid dust cover you have to fight with all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
The pages never open enough.
Yep.
I always find that the binding's so far into the page that you can get
cutting
off
words or cutting off a cool thing of art.
So if you're just starting comics, you might want to go out and pick up a couple collected edition paperbacks. See if you like them. If you like them, then find your local comic book shop. Support them locally.
Yeah,
and buy titles that you like. Start with popular stuff.
I would say find a superhero that you like.
Yeah, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yep.
You know, the Hulk, Thor. Thor's been a really great comic.
Oh yeah, lately. Thor has been an amazing comic. If you like,
and it kind of started
fantasy comics.
It started from fresh. You didn't really need to have to be into it beforehand.
Yeah, if you like epic fantasy comics, you'll like Thor. So, all right, Scott, let's go ahead and get into our picks of the week. Why don't you go ahead and start us off this week?
Okay.
We're switching things up, remember?
My pick of the week is actually another trailer. It's called The Theory of Everything.
Okay, is it about everything?
It's about the theory of everything.
Oh, okay, so it's not actually
about everything. In fact,
it's
actually about Stephen Hawking and his life. It's not a documentary.
No.
It's a drama
biopic, I would say.
Yeah, biopic, a dramumentary.
A dramumentary.
So it's kind of a dramatic movie.
A romumentary.
But it is about his life. It's about his before he had ALS or diagnosed with it. I think it's ALS. Before he was in his wheelchair. Before when he could talk. Now he can't because he had tracheotomy. And he can't talk anymore. And it's really actually tugs at the emotions on I watched
the trailer with you, and
I was not expecting to be at the end going, holy crap, this thing is wow. It looks great. It looks fantastic. Check it out. I watched it like 5-6 times this week. Just love it. And everyone I've shown it to goes, holy crap. And if you don't know who Stephen Hawking is, where have you been living?
Under a rock?
He's the guy with the robot voice.
Yeah,
and he's a cosmologist, and he's one of the smartest minds on the planet. The guy's just he's amazing. They gave him 2 years to live when he got diagnosed at 20-something, and he's now 60-something.
He's incredible.
Yeah, incredible story. I think it looks fantastic.
I'm not a huge fan of biopics, at least in the theater. Like I'll see one if we bring it home and put it on the screen and everything like that, but I don't go, ooh, let's go see that new James Brown biopic, you know. But this one, I kind of want to see it in the theater.
Too.
It's probably gonna make me cry tears out of my face.
I'm gonna be leaking. No, I can't shut it off. I'm leaking. What's going on?
There's a little guy in your eye that the dam's broken. He's just like, oh no, I'm gonna lose my job over this.
That's my pick of the week. It's Theory of Everything.
Well, yours is like all cool and heartfelt and everything like that. I have a book. I just have a book, a funny book.
A Another book?
Yeah, I've kind of been on a book
What are you, a
craze.
reader?
I am a book muncher. Like I sit there and I just devour books.
You're the cookie monster of books. You're the bookie monster.
The bookie monster. I love it. No, the book I read this last week or the week before it is called NPCs. And this is a very heartfelt book not heartfelt. This is a book that I think every member of my D&D group needs to read before they start giving me guff about being a dungeon master.
It won't change
anything. It won't change anything. But it's about this group of adventurers who comes in to this town, and it's sometimes it's outside in the real world where they're playing the game and everything, and the characters or the kids are complete jerks because they're teenagers playing a D&D game. Like, they're gonna be all about murder and mayhem and everything like that. Kind of like my party.
Kind of like regular teenagers too.
Exactly. And their characters end up dying in this tavern. They ate some mushroom out in the forest, and when they drink alcohol, this mushroom kills them. Basically, like it exudes poison.
It releases poison. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So they die, and they're like, okay, well, whatever. We'll just re-roll characters. It doesn't matter to us. Well, it goes into the town, and the NPCs who are in this tavern look at them and realize they're adventurers. And when they're going through their stuff, they find this note from this kind of crazy king who's notorious for killing people and everybody around these people who die. Like, they're like, if we don't do something, these adventurers their death is going to get back to the king, and he's just going to kill the entire town thinking we had something to do with it. So What do? They become the adventurers. And there's a party, and it kind of starts out as the general, this is how the party works, classic. The human guard turns into the paladin. The orc barkeeper turns into the barbarian. The female noblewoman is the wizard, and the tiny gnome is the rogue.
Okay.
Well, later on, they get into a little scrap, and they realize they're not quite good at the roles that they were given, but they're good at the other role, or one of the other roles. So they flip things on their heads. So characters or races that you don't normally see, or archetypes that you don't normally see as a character, become a certain class.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, and at the end you get to realize that this whole D&D module that it's not D&D, it's called something else because of copyright reasons. But this whole module that they're playing in is designed to kill players, because it's like this weird disconnect between alternate dimensions. It's really cool, and it kind of goes into this funny little thing at the end, and I would definitely recommend it for anybody who likes a quick read. So, and like I said, D&D group, I'll give you extra experience points if you read this book, because it might make you feel a little bit better about treating my NPCs as badly as you do. Well, some of you.
So that's your pick, NPCs, and mine is The Theory of Everything.
Yep. We have a pick of the week from a user submission this week as well.
Really?
Yep. Our friend Adam. Hi, Adam. How are you? Had messaged us on Facebook and said that
Adam, one of our D&D groupies.
Yep. And groupies.
We're all D&D groupies.
Yeah, like we're famous D&Ders.
Well, you're the dungeon master.
Yes.
So we're all your groupies.
That's true. But he said that because of D&D's 40th anniversary, they have released all of their Drizzt books, which are like their most popular book series, or like a collection of short stories on Audible for free.
Ooh,
and you
can
go
a limited time, or
I'm sure it's a limited time. So I would go. There's a link to it on our Facebook page. In one of the comments, we'll post a link and a full comment so that you guys can go right there. And these are written by people like Ice-T, or not written, read by like Ice-T, like seriously, the rapper, or Ice Cube. It's one of the Ices. And Felicia Day is another one who does one of the short stories.
That was way cool.
Yeah. So I've already downloaded them myself, and I'm going to be listening to them. So thank you, Adam, for bringing that up to everybody. And good pick of the week.
Yeah, perfect for if you have a long commute to and from work, or if as your job, maybe you drive around, or even if you're at your work and you like something to listen to while you're doing stuff. It's something good.
Yeah. Anything else that you can think of?
Nope. That's
All right.
it.
If you would like to send a submission to us, you can do so on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Acts of Geekery. Just post on the wall or any of our comments.
Yep, absolutely. We'll take a read at them and either mention them or don't mention them if they're stupid.
Where else can they find us? Or
They can also send us an email, actsofgeekery@gmail.com.
All right. You can go to our YouTube page and post on our YouTube videos, the comments in the comment section at youtube.com/Acts of Geekery.
You can also find us on Twitter, although it's not used that much, but we'll still be able to read it.
Yep.
It's at Acts of Geekery.
And those are all ACTS, not AXE. Well, another episode down. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Only 92 more to go until our 100th episode.
Yay! I'm Scott.
And I'm Cory.
Keep geeking out.
See ya!
I love scotch.
Scotchy,
Scotch. Here it goes down into my belly. I have to warn you, I'm an angry drunk.